Hey guys, it's Mo with Moojuk. Another day, time for another video, and today we are covering 4 of the scariest vocabulary in the English dictionary. But before we get into the words, I'd like to start off with a very scary story of mine. So, this is a story about a nightmare that I oftentimes had oops oftentimes had when I was in elementary school. So almost every week, I would have this nightmare of walking into an elevator. But not just any elevator. It would be the elevator to our apartment building. And in the dream, all the time, every single dream that I had with this elevator, I would walk in, the doors would close, and the doors were always blue because the elevator doors in our apartment are blue. And I would press the number for the 17th floor, and I would go up, just like any normal elevator. But suddenly, if I looked up at the number plate where the numbers are shown, the numbers suddenly started to rapidly change. So it went from 10 to 12 to 15 to 25 to 32 and 44, 77, 88, 100, 1,000, and so on. And this was maybe perhaps a dream, a sign of good luck. But the scary part of this dream was that in the tiny window of our elevator door, there was only darkness. And I felt a presence looking at me through the darkness from the other side. So, this was a dream where I had to go on this never-ending, never-stopping elevator that kept skyrocketing up with crazy changing numbers, and I knew that perhaps a sinister force, or perhaps some kind of evil fiend, was looking at me from the darkness. But the scariest part of this story is, or the most bone-chilling and blood-curdling part of this story is when I was once with my friends on a field trip, and I was talking to my friends about my nightmares I had as a child, and we were all trying to scare each other with the scariest stories possible. Some people were talking about headless ghosts. Some people were talking about crazy axe murderers. But I decided to bring up my nightmare, and it scared me, and it still scares me to this day when I talk about it, because I feel the shivers. But what happened? One of my friends suddenly looked up in surprise, and he said he had the exact same dream as I did when he was a child, and he also had the same exact dream every single week. He went into the same elevator, he was in the same space, the numbers would change rapidly, and he felt like somebody was looking in the elevator the whole time. Coincidence or not? Evil demons at play, who knows? But that was my story. What nightmares have you had recently? Or what are some childhood fears that you once had? Please think about them and share them with all of your friends. But I would like to get into the vocabularies of today, which are Fatality, Fiend, Sinister, and Bloodcurdling. So this is a re-uploaded version because I got the last word wrong, but hopefully none of you saw it. So, Fatality. Fatality means a victim of war or a casualty. So a synonym of fatality would be casualty. So oftentimes in war movies, you oftentimes hear of civilian casualties or innocent people that died, civilian casualties. You can also replace casualties with the word fatality. So civilian fatalities or fatalities in war or during war. So people that are killed more often than not either soldiers or people or civilians that are killed during a war effort. Fatality. Another example can be used in one of the modern video games, Mortal Kombat. This is a video game that is centered around a bunch of characters. You have to choose one, the other person chooses one, and you fight to the death. And when one player is able to use his finishing move on the other opponent, they call out fatality, and it symbolizes the death of the other person playing or the opponent. Alrighty, so the next word on the list is fiend. Fiend means, as you may have heard in my little anecdote, a demon, an embodiment of a demon or an evil spirit. So perhaps a fiend would be sort of like the demons or the devils that you see in scary movies like The Conjuring, perhaps Insidious, or maybe Annabelle 1235 billion. But fiend is also used in modern slang as a person who is very cruel and very evil. So, for example, if you're walking down the street and somebody bumps into you or deliberately pushes you, you would call him a fiend. You would call him or her a fiend, a person who's very rude and cruel and evil. So, fiend. The third word for today is sinister. Sinister is one of the scariest words on this list because it means a very scary, very horrible feeling. A feeling that something horrible is about to happen. Perhaps maybe it's a ghost that's going to pop out, or maybe a demon, or maybe even a person with a knife that's going to stab you in the back. Something sinister. So when I walked into this elevator in my dream all the time, I felt this sinister feeling that something bad was going to happen, but it never did. That was the scariest part about it. So a sinister feeling, something bad, or something bad that is imminent, that is right upon us. So the last word for today, the word that I actually got wrong, is blood-curdling. So blood-curdling. What does it mean to curdle? So when milk curdles, it turns into cheese. So it basically rots a little bit, or it ferments a little bit. And what happens when you look at the surface of old milk? It's a little wrinkly. So when the word blood curdling, it refers to when your blood, like the milk that turns into cheese, curdles. So it rots and it wrinkles up and it shrivels. So that means that is a metaphor for just being incredibly, incredibly scared. So you are feeling a sensation of fear, blood curdling. So, for example, the woman let out a blood-curdling shriek. She screamed so loudly, and the blood-curdling sound of people running and screaming in the street horrified me. So I felt my bones and my blood freeze, and it started to shrivel up, blood-curdling. So, although I couldn't scream in my dream of it, when I was in the elevator, I felt like letting out a blood-curdling scream. Alrighty, so I believe these are some of the scariest and most violent words that can be used in the English dictionary. Ooh. So if we give a quick review, fatality, fiend, sinister, blood-curdling. And although these words are quite sinister, are quite scary, I hope you please try and use them with your friends, your fellow Mujikers, your family, your friends, and maybe even your teachers. Teach them a thing or two about the scariest vocabulary in the dictionary. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and like all of our videos, because if you do not, something sinister will come and get you. Perhaps it will be a fiend, and maybe you will let out a blood-curdling scream, and maybe you'll be a fatality of the fiend. That is how you use all of those vocabularies in a sentence.